defensive line progression. Now, when I talk about my practice schedule, and our head coach is really big on this, there's 6 things that I have to incorporate in my defensive line practice schedule every single day. Outside of teamwork and 7-on-7 or I'm sorry, 1-on-1 pass rush or whatever, as far as my individual period is concerned, I need to incorporate an agility drill, some type of change of direction. I have to work on some type of an escape, whether it be a lock and separate escape or a swim move on pass rushing, rip moves on pass rushing, club and rip, whatever the case may be. I have to work on some type of escape. I have to work on run rec. Okay? Run rec. And when I do run rec with a defensive line, I do most everything off of one man. I do very little, if any, 2-man run recs. Now, Coach Lever got into the 2-man. I think you need to walk them through it. But here's what I've found. My job as a defensive lineman is to whip your ass and maintain my gap. Okay? That's my job as a defensive lineman. Ultimately, I'd like to be able to play at the heel depth of the offensive lineman. All of the great things about making plays behind the line of scrimmage. All right? But my job is to try to whip your ass and stay in my gap. If you talk about a 2-man scoop reach drill, if I've got another man here and coach is the guy that I'm shaded on, it's got absolutely nothing to do with this guy. If they're scooping in this direction, my job is to stay on your ass. Once I start screwing with this guy, I'm messed up. Okay? My job is to stay in direct relationship to coach. All right? If you talk about trap, all right? If you talk about trap, any scheme you want to, and coach is coming to pull and kick me out, if I am hip to hip with my man, there ain't no way he's going to trap me. There's no way coach is going to trap me. I'm going to be underneath it every single time. Based on what? The relationship with my man. So why sit there and work a bunch of 2- and 3-man blocking schemes when it all comes down to you being on, hey, even in a double team, the thing that I used to teach was this. Attack your man, hip pressure. Okay? Attack your man, hip pressure, try to get skinny. Well, if you sit there and you think about it and you walk yourself through it, Brett, come up here. All right? I attack my man, okay, and he's posting me, all right? And I hit pressure, what happens to me on the post? I become soft as shit. All right? So what I want to focus on him is this. I attack my man, and when I feel pressure, I attack my man more. I attack my man more, and that what does to my hips? It naturally turns my hips. Okay? And you guys have all been in a situation where if we're working a scoop reach drill, all right, and I'm trying to play my gap, I'm screwed up. Okay? So everything I do is based on one man primarily. Okay? Remember, if you stay in relationship to your man, hip to hip, and there's no space, there's not many schemes that they're going to be able to beat you with. All right? So one man run rep. Then I get into pass rushing. What we utilize in pass rushing is John Lever's shuffle. Okay? The whole key in pass rushing is plain and simple. All right? Attack half the man. Attack half the man, and ultimately, for me to be able to attack the quarterback, because there's very few players that you have that are head up to the quarterback, is there? Okay, so ultimately, you're going to have to flip your hips to be able to attack the quarterback. Okay? If my hips stay up the field, I'm great up the field, but I have very little pressure inside. So I want to be able to work up the field, flip my hips, so now I can condense the pocket and can keep my QBL at all times. Okay, so we're going to really concentrate on hip flip, and we're going to work on some type of pass rush every single day. Tackling. This became huge this last year after we came out here. You know, we operate in circuits, so a lot of you guys work that way too. You know, you can have one circuit working on the finish, you can have one circuit working on profiles, you can have one circuit working on, and then rotate the guys around and get a county fair, but at some point, some type of tackling every day. And then when you get into it, defensive line wise, and I don't have it on my topic situation, but a common situation that we get into as defensive linemen is that we get into one-arm tackling situations. How many times have you guys seen your defensive lineman attacks the offensive lineman, is engaged in the block, and the ball carrier shows right here in his gap? He throws his hand out, or he lunges, or he tries to leave his feet to make the play. But we've got to be able to teach them one-arm tackling. Okay, being able to hit up with one arm and then fight to get the second arm through. Okay, so hit up with one arm and be able to fight to get the second hand through. But that's a tackling deal that my defensive line work. And primarily, and that's what I'm going to go into next, the primary tackling drill that I do for defensive linemen is profile tackling. You know, all sacks are profile tackling. We're going to teach those guys to run through the quarterback. Okay, we're not going to break down or shimmy on them or anything else. We're going to teach them to run through the quarterback at all times. Whether I see his full back, whether I see his profile, whatever the case may be, I'm going to teach them to run through their ass. Then we're going to work takeaways, and we're big on takeaways. We've had over 30 a year for the last 6 years. And the biggest thing with that, guys, is that our coach overemphasizes it in two ways. And I think if you guys can ever, if you want to take something back, here's two rules of our practice. Every drill involves defensive man trying to strip the running back, or any team drill, and the offensive guys hate it. They're big babies. You know, they sit there and whine and moan, but our guys are ball hawking all practice long. Punch in the pocket, fingertip over fingertip, whatever the case may be, we're trying to get the ball out through all drills. All right? The running backs and our receivers are taught that they have to hand the ball to a designated coach or an official every single time. Okay, whether it be a touchdown, tackle out of bounds, or whatever, you'll see our guys pick the ball up or keep the ball right here and hand it to an official. I can't stand those guys that just throw the ball, up in the air, or leave it down on the ground, or whatever the case may be. Ball security is job security, as far as I'm concerned. Have your guys hand the ball to the official. Okay, every single time. And if you've got somebody in practice, it can be a manager or whatever the case, whoever's spotting the ball, he's a designated official. So everybody's got to hand the ball to him. And even when a ball is overthrown in 7-on-7, it's our job of our defensive linemen to scoop and score. Okay, we scoop and score and take it the other way. All right, so everything that we do is going to involve takeaway. Now, when progression, the first thing I'm going to talk about is profile. All right, and profile tackling is defined any time that I see the side of the ball carrier. Okay, anytime I can see his profile, I am taught to execute a profile tackle. Profile tackle is simply you are running through the man. You have to think about it. If a ball carrier is showing you his profile, he has very little ability to cut back. So you might as well run through his ass. All right? Now, a big coaching point on profile is you've got to understand what your focal point pursuit is. All right? Focal point pursuit is you're either a play side pec player, all right, or you're a backside hip track player. All All right? Based on where you are, once the ball snapped and you find yourself in space and you start to run to the ball carrier, you got to understand. Tackling's very simple. We got to keep the ball inside and in front of us, right? We always attack the ball carrier with leverage. All right? Don't get into the point where you say, well, you're the force player, your job is to force the ball. Because I guarantee you, if you got a strong safety who's responsible for force, what he's going to do is he's going to just run up the field and he said, hey, I got it. I turn the ball back in. All right? And we've all been in that situation. Why didn't you squeeze the ball? Coach, I had force. I'm outside. I got him outside. I made him turn back in. Well, what I really need you to do is you're a play side peck player. Okay? If I'm attacking you, you're the ball carrier, and I'm attacking you, and you're coming at me, I want to keep leverage and stay on your play side peck. All right? And that's where my eyes are focused at all times. Okay? If coach right here is, and I find myself once the play starts to occur, and I'm a chase player, now I'm looking at his inside hip. All right? I'm looking at his inside hip at all times. Okay? Those are our focal point pursuits. So when we look at profile, all right, I'm taught to run through the guy, and I'm going to get into demonstrations with that here in a second. The next type of tackle, and that's the primary focus of our tackling. If we're going to tackle, we're going to do 80% profile and 20% shimmy. Because defensive linemen are taught to profile. Run through. You don't want those big jug butts to sit there and dance around and everything else. Get them going. Shimmy progression is next. We will do some of it because there are times that we will be in a shimmy situation. But we won't spend an inordinate amount of time on it. One-arm tackling. We do some of that. Focal point pursuit drills with leverage and chase, late shimmy. All right. Here's a drill that we do that I think is really good on air that you guys can do. Ball's here, all right? Defender's here, and I put a bucket right there. All right? Obviously, he's shading. Defensive lineman right there. I have the ball carrier start here, and all he's doing is running a path. Okay? He's running a path. So on the snap of the football, I either slant or execute a gap charge, all right? And I find out where I am in relationship to the back. Okay, so I beat my man. All right, if I use a straight gap charge and the back is inside of me, where's my focal point pursuit? Play side peck. If you've got leverage on the guy, keep leverage on the guy. Work your ass off to keep leverage on him. Okay? Now, are you a force player? No. All right, we're going to get that constriction from the secondary who's responsible for force. All right, but if I got leverage on you, I beat you, and I've got leverage, I want to work to your play side peck. I'm going to get you to cut back, if anything. Okay? So that's the first thing. Then we slant their butt inside, and we execute a slant technique. All right, we come inside. Now the ball is outside of us. All right, what kind of player am I now? Inside hip track player. Okay, so now I'm chasing the ball inside out. Inside hip track player. So that's a drill that I do that really is pretty realistic in what they're trying to get accomplished. Okay? Definition. Profile tackle, all you can see is the ball carrier's profile. Teach a run through. Okay? The next type of tackle is a shimmy tackle. Now, here's the thing that all of our kids do. We sit there and we ask them, what kind of tackle should you execute? He says, I'm not sure. I didn't know. Okay? So I just kind of did not. Profile. All right? Well, here's the rule, because kids come up with excuses all the time, right? Here's the rule. If I can see his profile run through his head, if I can see the front of his belt, the entire front of his belt, or the entire back of his belt with space, I want to execute a shimmy. If I am unsure, okay, you're not exactly sure, defensive lineman profile. Okay, all defensive linemen are taught all unsure angles are profile. Secondary and linebackers are taught all unsure angles are shimmy. Okay, so what I've done is I've eliminated the gray space. Okay, what kind of angle was the ball carrier? Well, I'm not sure. Well, then profile his ass. Profile his ass right now. You're a defensive lineman. That's what I'm going to teach you. If you're unsure out there in the secondary, more than likely it's in space. So we're going to go ahead and execute a shimmy tackle. Okay, but defensive linemen are taught to profile all unsure angles. All right, in the profile, we want to identify profile 3 steps for the ball carrier. Now this is a big important part of it, and this is the approach phase that we didn't get to before. Remember we talked about the finish, then the hit up, then we get into the approach phase. The approach phase, or the recognition phase, is 3 steps from the ball carrier. Now understand I said 3 steps. I didn't say 3 yards, 5 yards, 2 yards, whatever the case may be. I said 3 steps. And the reason why I say 3 steps is because all of us are individual in nature by what God gave us. My 3 steps may be this far. If I'm a long-legged sucker, all right, and I'm kind of gangly and everything else, his 3-step area may be clear the hell out here. All right, but you've got to get those guys to understand, and this is the spatial concept of tackling. All right, I am going to identify the type of tackle I'm going to execute. Everything's done from a run, but I'm going to identify what tackle I'm going to execute at 3 steps from the ball carrier. So a big thing that we'll do, Coach, stand up here for a second. All right, he's the ball carrier. I'm going to take 3 steps. All right, this is my spatial recognition. This is my approach or recognition space. I want to spatially understand this distance. So in a lot of the drills that we do, whether it's walkthrough, style points, or time and distance, we want them to understand what this spatial concept is. All right? Thanks, Coach. Okay, on our approach in the profile, we want to get the eyes at ball level. Remember, we want to change the height of our body based on putting our eyes at ball level. So if the ball carrier's here, all right, we should match that with our eyes right at ball level. If he starts to dip, we'll dip with it and put our eyes at ball level. But what we're focusing on is this belt. All right? Then we want to step on his feet or smell his breath before we hit up, pop the chest, drive the back knee, uppercut, double time the knees, grab cloth and squeeze, execute the finish. Okay, so now we get into the recognition phase. We want to put our eyes at ball level. Remember, we want to change the foot stagger, and we'll have the ball carrier just move up and down. Have them understand and keeping their eyes at ball level. We want to bend at the hips and the knees. We don't want to bend at the back. Okay, don't have them bend at the back. And where are we focusing when we're doing this?
Belt.
On his belt. Okay, now, this is a profile walk-off. Oh. Damn thing, you're gonna give me a headache. Profile walkthrough. Now, the point that I want to make on the profile walkthrough, and this is the thing we want to make sure we're looking at when we have them walk through it, is they're walking through it, we want to make sure that we stand over here as a coach so we can see their eyes at ball level, and we make sure that they're stepping on toes or smelling their breath before they execute the hit up. We don't want them reaching too damn early. Now, he's going to avoid in front, so in actuality, what kind of focal point pursuit does he have? Play side peck. See, now when I coach defense and I talk attacking the ball carrier, I don't sit there and tell this guy that he's got to get his hat in front on a profile tackle. You put your hat wherever the hell it is and you run through his ass. Okay? So when I'm sitting there and approaching, I'm a play side peck player, I should always have my head in front, because where's his play side peck? Right here. If I'm an inside hip track player, then I'm going to always avoid behind. So that's something that we add into the teaching phase as we're doing it out there on the field. We're saying, profile walk through, play side peck. Ready? Walk. And making sure that he steps on his toes or smells his breath before he executes the hit up. Okay? Make sure we're not throwing too early. Double time the knees. We can either walk or double time the knees, add whatever point that you want to make. And if you want to work these guys on the line and we say we're play side peck, just have these guys take a half step back. Okay? Play side peck. Okay, now we see it from a side angle. We're going to walk. Eyes stay at ball level the entire time. Boom! What he's not doing with his finish. Squeezing the elbow. Got to squeeze the elbow. Once again, the more shit we add, the less he focuses on the finish. That's why the finish has to be taught separately and has to be in concrete. Now we're going to do the same thing, but now we're an inside hip track player. Okay, now my avoidance is going to be behind you. And once again, guys, we're all the way down the field with our entire team. It's not like one guy's going, it's the entire team. The first two guys are out, we execute it, and then we go to the next two guys. Eyes at ball level. Hit up, squeeze the elbows. Focus on your pinkies. High hands. Okay, does everybody understand a walkthrough? Okay, now this is a great teaching deal in the off season. All right, this is called style points. Anytime we say style points, the scout team player is dead. He's not going to move. All right, the first guy walks his recognition area off. He recognizes the spatial concept, and then he goes ahead and moves back 5 yards. Okay? Now we want him up in a running stance. We're running now. We're attacking the ball carrier. Now what this does, and I love the part about this, is it gets us to be able to sink our hips while we're running. Alright? And you can see him as he's running, he should sink his hips while he's continuing to run, alright, and get his eyes at ball level at that 3-step recognition phase.